Hello and welcome to the monthly Marquee. I'm your host, Bart Levins, Director for the Hardin County Schools Performing Arts Center. Our first guest is also our PAC Kid Spotlight for the month, Miss Elizabeth Croghan. Hi, hon. How are you?
Hi, good.
Thank you for joining us today for the PAC Kid Spotlight. Today you were kind of an ambassador, in a sense, for the Performing Arts Center. As an ambassador, what does the PAC mean to you, and what do you think the community needs to know about the Performing Arts Center?
The PAC, to me, it's a place where you can just go and experience professional theater, but in your hometown, you know, someplace that's close to home where you don't have to drive really far. And I think people should, you know, see it as what it is. It's not just sort of an extension of a high school. It's not something that's, you know, it's not a half-done performance. It's quality theater, and it's really done well and by people who care about the art.
Well, and I think one of the things you just said, an extension of the high school or the high school programs and of the district as a school district as a whole. We are an extension in a great sense that we are part of the extracurricular activities for our students. We're also an extension of what I like to call lifelong learning. In that, I think as you'll find as you grow older, you never stop learning. Part of our existence as human beings is to always try to be better than we were the day before. And I think that's a wonderful thing that the performing arts give us, is learning experiences throughout our lives. You know, we always talk about things that you can do as a student or as a young person that then you continue through life, and as you continue, you gain more skills and more habits from things. I also think it's lifelong learning in the sense of an extension of our community and our society. We as citizens of the world have to work together. Have to learn how to cooperate, how to collaborate, and I think that's at the core of performing arts, don't you think?
Yes, definitely. I think theater and any performing art, it's really just about like human interaction, whether between actors or the audience and anyone who's performing and anyone who's watching. It's all just about being people together. Whether you're playing a character, obviously, in some shows, but you know, it's all human at the base level.
Yeah. Now, how did you get involved with the performing arts?
When I was little, I mean, I always wanted to dress up and play stuff, so I started dance when I was like 2 or 3. And then my first show was Annie when I was in 5th grade at the PAC.
So what did you do in Annie?
I was an orphan, and it was great. It was so fun.
There were, what, 25, 30 orphans?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there were so many of us. We all just ran around. It was fun, though. It was
and so you were in what grade then?
5th grade.
5th grade. So what was different about that performance as opposed to everything that led up to that for you?
Well, everything that I'd done before then was just dance recitals. And so I'd never been in an actual like play or a musical that really had a storyline, you know, it was just dance. And I'd never really worked with adults in the show. You know, I mean, obviously dance teachers and that sort of thing, but it was always just us kids, you know, out there.
Yeah, you never had to share the stage with an adult. So now you've done that a lot. We were talking earlier about the extension of community and so forth. What is it like for you as a student? Now, of course, I know like Aloria, for example. You and Aloria were both orphans in Annie, so you've both gotten to work together over the years. But I also know in Annie, for example, Tim Isaac, who is principal at one of our high schools here, you got to work with him, student, 5th grade, adult, in Annie, and you've continued to work with him in shows. What is it like for you to work on stage as a student with adults?
It's a really great learning opportunity for me, I think, because you get to see someone who's, you know, either got a job on the side and how they're managing that with this, or someone who, you know, this is their life, this is what they do, so you get to learn from them very well.
And I think it's interesting, you know, there's always that moment in a child's life where they run into their teacher at the grocery store. And you freak out because you're not used to seeing them anywhere other than the classroom. And so to be able to work with an adult, you know, we have teachers who do shows, and you're working with that adult on a peer to peer level as opposed to a student teacher level, right?
Yeah.
And to be able to see that adult going through a learning process, I think is really unique for a student.
Because I think a lot of times students see their teachers as like, you know, they just know everything and they're your teachers, so you expect them to know everything, but then you get to see them in a light that's not always, you know, in the classroom they're very in control of everything because it's their classroom, but then, you know, you get to work with them and figure out things.
And it's okay to not know everything.
Yes, yeah.
And likewise, I think it's really unique. I always think about my experiences doing youth theater in particular, and PAC Pro-Ams now exactly, and as well the dance school programs that we have in our area. I think they're a great opportunity for our students to work with students from other schools.
Yes.
Or even students that are homeschooled. There's plenty of opportunities for us to compete with students from other schools, but to get to collaborate with students from other schools, that was a great learning experience for me.
Yeah, it's definitely a great learning experience for me as well because, you know, I'm not in sports through my school, so I don't really see that many other students unless I go there. But there's not very many North Hardin people usually in, I mean, comparatively, you know, in youth theater and in some other shows. So you really form friendships with people who aren't at your school, and that's really great to have, you know.
Yeah, I used to live for those summers to see my youth theater friends again. Yeah, and those are when you collaborate on a project like that, like you and Lori have done a lot of projects together at this point. Those friendships continue on through life, even when you separate and you go your separate ways, separate colleges, separate careers. You still have those shared experiences. We were talking about my friend Darren West, who has gone on to do things in New York, and how Facebook is a great tool for that as well, being able to stay in contact with each other. Where do you see yourself down the road?
I don't know, anywhere.
You are a heavy sigher, my friend. You're a junior now, so you're looking at these big life questions. So every time I go, where do you see? it's a little overwhelming.
Yeah, it really is. It's exciting, but it's overwhelming because on one hand, it's easy to just be like, oh yeah, well I'll go to college and I'll do this and do that. But then you have to actually look at what you're gonna do, and it's like you have all these grand plans, and you know what you want to do, but whether or not it happens in that way, and
well, and it's easy to see I'm at A, and I want to get to point B.
But you don't see any other options, and you don't see the ways. You know.
And you don't see how to get there. What where are the signposts that get you from point A to point B? And again, I think that's where things like youth theater and the performing arts in general, you're making connections with people like Tim Isaacs on a personal level. So you're getting these mentorships in a lot of ways. That even if you don't go into performing arts, you've got a personal connection with adults in your community that can help you draw the connections. And I think that's really essential. And in a time where we're so cued into social media, it's important to have the personal one-on-one relationships that you don't get through social media.
I mean, I want it to be a big part, and whether that means it as a hobby, me working something else and doing that, or whether that's all I do. But I want to be involved in it because there's something about, human connection, just being on stage with people that you know, doing a scene with people and people watching you. There's just all those connections. It's just such a wonderful experience that, I don't want to let go of, and I want to do it. If I can do it professionally, that would be amazing. It'd be such a wonderful thing to have. But also, doing that in any way in my life would be amazing.
Right, and I think it's one of those skills, whether it's a profession or a hobby, that any of the arts, you continue to grow as you grow as a person. As you get more life experience, that informs what you do on stage, whether it's dance, voice, or acting. There are sports that you can only do to a certain age. Dance, you can only do, you could be a great dancer, but by the time you're my age, you're not jeting all over the floor anymore, and you transition into teaching or to different aspects. Are there other aspects of the performing arts that also intrigue you?
To be honest, I'm kind of interested in everything.
Sure.
You know, in different aspects. I mean, performing is obviously wonderful, being on stage, but also I really like writing outside of school. So, you know, if that's something that I could look more into, maybe write some plays, some musicals even, get someone to write music. And I love music as well, and I play piano, so that's something else that could, you know, be involved with that. And I mean, I think teaching would also be really fun to do as well.
Sure.
I don't know how good of a teacher I'd be, though. I'm not.
There's time. There's time for all of those decisions.
You know, life is long, so you can do anything, really.
Life is long, so you can do anything. I think that's the best thing we could end this conversation on. Elizabeth, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome back our next guest, representing the Hardin County Playhouse, Mr. Ron Blair. Ron, how are you, sir?
Doing well.
You're burning the candle at both ends.
At all ends. If there's any, we're burning at the sides and the top and the bottom, burning it everywhere.
You are currently directing
Yes.
Night of the Living Dead.
Yes, correct.
Tell us about the show and how it's going.
The show is going beautifully. It's one of the most technically difficult shows I think the Playhouse has done.
In what way?
There are several elements as part of this show was filmed. There's a great deal of photography that they'll end up seeing on the big screen in that the lights aren't too complicated, but they're so important. What we have, the set is large and involved, a great deal of props, makeup that we normally don't have to deal with. So yeah, just several tech elements that are going into this at the moment, several sound cues. Just a great deal of, when you finally see the show, you'll know how much work went into it, but I don't think most people will.
And that's really what you want.
Absolutely. If it seems like a seamless, absorbing process to the people, great.
Well, it's so funny you would say seamless, because the analogy I was going to draw is you want, if you're looking at a costume, you want to go, wow, that's a great costume. Not, boy, that's really well stitched.
Right.
You don't want to see the seams.
No.
You want everything to just flow.
Yeah, exactly. All the elements come together, and hopefully within the first few minutes, they're absorbed into the little universe that we've created on the stage there.
Now, speaking of the universe, this is a play adaptation of the famous George Romero film that everyone, well, not everyone, most everyone has seen, or has at least seen referenced in pop culture for 20, 30 years at least?
40.
40, yeah. So here's the thing. Whenever you see an adaptation of something you love, and we like I just got through doing Hunchback of Notre Dame, which is a beloved Disney film, and whenever you see something you've beloved adapted to a new format, there's a hesitation, there's a wariness about it. Now, you yourself are a huge George Romero fan.
Oh, yes.
So you come to this with a great deal of affection and love. What would you do to reassure someone who is a fan of this movie that you're in good hands here?
Oh, I'd let him know that I knew Romero. And that I knew the man himself, and I knew many of the producers from Night of the Living Dead. And while it's impossible to do a 100% faithful version of the film on the stage, there are several loving references. I've done the best with this material that I can in the space that we have, and I do feel that we've gone above and beyond with this one. The show itself has been so important to me because it is one of my favorite films, and I do know the people that were involved in that, many have passed, and we are dedicating the show to George Romero in his memory.
Well, and I think because we live in a world where, the Rocky Horror Picture Show and things like that, this is not a parody. You are playing this straight down the line.
Well, I think where a lot of folks who have gone wrong with doing this show is they will do a parody, or they'll really sell the campy aspect of it. And you can go campy with it, that absolutely. You can make it a melodrama. I feel that that's the inclination if you're too afraid to make it scary. I am not afraid to make it scary. I've actually changed some of the things that I felt like the person that adapted this, I felt that she didn't go far enough. I will go far enough.
So you say this is scary. What's your audience for this?
A lot of college-age people, teenage people, the same Rocky Horror audience, and hopefully it'll still appeal to the people who remember, seeing it at the drive-in, where Romero was driving it around to different drive-ins and playing that. It's really going to hit some nostalgia buttons with people. We're slavish to the 1968 timeline. And in fact, the pre-show is composed of some music from that time period. Plus, I've written fake horror movie trailers like you would hear on the radio. And then every once in a while, a DJ will come in and talk about the satellite that landed in Evans City recently. And so it really the first half hour really sets up the show beautifully for those who like that kind of classic horror element to it.
Fun. Very fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Now, we were talking about the age group for this
Yes.
being high school, college, above.
Right.
But you have children in the show.
I do have a few children in the show.
So how do you deal with that as a director?
They've been the easiest people to direct. Kids, they have such an imagination, and they lock into, we're going to scare people. And they have no inhibitions about scaring people. They know they want to be as scary as possible. And so the kids have been great. They can't wait.
It's the adults who you have to push a little bit harder?
A little bit. There have been a few things that I've had to sell the adults on. I don't think they're unwilling. They just think, well, that's kind of twisted. And I say, yes, I want the audience to go home feeling like they were punched in the gut.
How far is too far? Yeah.
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 I don't think we crossed the line, but I think we skirt it.
Well, and with a piece like this, based on a film that is all about how far is too far.
Right.
You have to.
I cast almost everybody that came out, and then I called for other people who didn't, and I said, we need to pack this house with ghouls. I've forbidden the word zombies.
When you used the word ghoul, I found that interesting. Because he did not use the word zombie in the original movie. Is that why?
No, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. These are classically not zombies. Zombies are a voodoo thing. It's someone controlled by another person. This is not a zombie, this is a ghoul.
But that word has transmogrified into what we understand it to be now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And how many are in your zombie horde?
17.
So you have more in the horde than you do in the cast.
Oh, absolutely. The cast is tiny. It's a small cast. I think we have 7 principal characters and then maybe 5 others with small speaking roles. And the rest are ghouls. And some of the ones with small speaking roles are also ghouls at some point in the show. So everybody's all hands on deck with this show.
Well, and one of the things that I love about a piece like this, when you've got that kind of freedom in casting, is that because I did something similar when I did Fiddler on the Roof, and what I mean by right now they sound like, how could these two things be related? Right. Trust me. But with a show like Fiddler on the Roof, you could cast an entire family.
Absolutely, you
can.
And
the same is the case for you in this. You have a whole family getting to perform together.
Absolutely. It was my goal to get the Taylors all in this one show somehow. Of course, Moira and Harper, they were cast, and Aaron, being such a huge horror film fan, I wanted to use him during one of the filmed segments. River was used in one of the film segments, and there's a photo of Ryan up on the stage. So I was able to include everybody, and all 5 of them for the first time are in the program.
And that's not the only thing. You have moms and dads who have watched their kids do shows, but have never been in it before.
Oh, yeah.
But because it was simple and was easy and it didn't take a lot of time, they're getting to experience being on stage with their kids.
It's a revelation to these guys.
Yeah.
There was another, the woman who plays our Barbara, her fiance, for years has said, I don't know if I want to get on stage. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. And for this show, we said, well, you do.
Yeah.
So this is his first outing in the theater as well. We have several people in the cast who have not performed before. They performed minimally. It's great.
So if people want to see their family and friends as ghouls in Night of the Living Dead, how can they get tickets?
They can call our number at 270-351-0577 and make reservations that way. On our website, there is a link to our ticketing agent.
Sure.
And they can purchase tickets online through that method.
And what's the website?
The website is hardincountyplayhouse.com.
Great. And when are the shows?
The show opens October 13th. It runs the 14th, the 15th, and then the 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd. And then we have a special Halloween production on the 28th at 11 p.m.
Ooh.
Oh, yes, yes. We're going to juice that one up a little bit.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Ron, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Bart. Always a pleasure.
Next up on the Monthly Marquee, please welcome Zach Humphrey from the Historic State Theater. Zach, it's time for things that go bump in the night.
Bump in the night. It's that time of year, our favorite time of year.
We just got off a huge conversation with Ron Blair about their upcoming production of Night of the Living Dead.
Yes.
And you are actually showing the film.
We're going to show the original Night of the Living Dead the same night as their opening night. So that weekend of I believe it's the 17th and 18th?
14th.
14th and 15th.
Yes, yeah.
And 16th. They have 3 showings, and that Friday night we'll have Night of the Living Dead on the screen. So you can
do compare contrast. Yeah.
Which the live version that the Hardin County Playhouse will put on will be a lot of fun.
It's going to be like a haunted house.
Oh,
That's the impression I get from Ron.
Yeah. And Ron, I've heard him talk about this for 6 months now, and how he just
You're lucky.
He's a kid in a candy store when it comes to horror.
I've heard about it for 6 years. You're lucky.
So we're looking forward to that. And yeah, just, some good classic. Really, it's a classic series this year. We've got Friday the 13th on Friday the 13th. That doesn't happen very often,
right.
So we've got to do that. We'll be showing Christine, Night of the Living Dead, and later in the month, The Wolf, the radio station, 94.3, will host, I can never say it, Maleficent.
Oh, Maleficent. Yes,
and that'll be on Halloween. They do a big trunk
Angelina Jolie.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha,
they do a big trunk or treat in the parking lot. So last year, I believe we saw about 1,500 people came through the parking lot and did the trunk or treat with the candy, and then through downtown, and the merchants would give out candy, and then a couple hundred people come and watch the movie. So it's just a lot of fun to, the old classics and some of the new ones. We'll be playing Halloween Town. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't know that.
That was an old Disney, 90s Disney. Wasn't a movie. It was kind of a TV movie.
Okay.
It was on Disney, so I watched it growing up. I'm a 90s kid, so I had to bring something back that some of the younger ones, but yet, kind of my age, remember those 90 movies and
well,
a lot
people
of fun.
your age are parents now, and they
want
to share that with their kids.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. I spend a lot of time in the theater, so I got to think about everybody else's kids at this point, which I'm fine with.
What else have you got in addition to the movies this month?
Well, we've got a magic show coming on the 27th, the Mastersons.
Okay.
So it's going to be more of a Las Vegas kind of dark magic show. Not, that it's not suitable for children. It's good for the whole family, but it's just going to be more of a darker version of a magic show, something you'd see out in Vegas or,
Cool.
And maybe one of the bigger cities. So that's going to be a lot of fun. That's on the 27th of October. And tickets are available now. They can buy those online. So, yeah, we're sticking with the magic show and then really some movies and giving time for the Playhouse to really boost up theirs. It's hard for both of us to have a lot going on because people don't know what to do.
Well, and not to mention Second Saturdays and all of that stuff going on.
That's right.
It always amazes me when people say there's nothing to do.
Oh, yeah.
And all I have to do is look at the calendar and go, well, it's the second Saturday. I know exactly where you need to be.
Yeah.
Or it's Wednesday night, and I know where they're doing trivia. Or, there is really it's a bountiful time for the performing arts.
September 23rd, I think there was, I think the PAC had was...
We were doing Hunchback.
We were doing Hunchback. It was the last weekend of Hunchback.
Yeah.
There was the Wine Festival at Freeman Lake.
That's right.
We had a concert at the State Theater. There's so much. There might be, to a point, there's so much to do, they don't know what to go with, which is a good thing. So
yeah, it is. And we always talk about the fact, trying to schedule around each other or in competition with each other. And I've been here long enough that I've looked at many different sides of it.
Yeah.
And early on, we had a weekend where youth theater was doing Peter Pan. There was a big festival at the Glima Mar Center, not the Glima Mar, the Von Reno Center, and Pops in the Park out at Freeman Lake. And all of those events had over 200 people each at them. And it's like, we don't have to worry about overlapping. No. There's enough variety that your audience isn't necessarily competing with my audience. And for a lot of the things, if there is, then you come see that event on a different day.
We are continuing our partnership with the city of Elizabethtown with their concert series, and they've already announced Travis Tritt will be coming in February 10th.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, so the tickets will go on sale November 3rd, actually, at 10 a.m. So the same weekend of Heroicus.
And they'll be sold out by 11 o'clock.
You know, people have asked, will they sell out quick? And Winona, when we had her in March of this year, that was 4 days. Sold out in 4 days, and I anticipate 2 days with this one.
I would think so, yeah. I
so
think so
that's always fun to kind of, you know, get ready for a big sellout and how quick that happens. So that'll be in November. We're already talking about more concerts and stuff like that with the city, productions of our own that we want to put on, and more partnership with Hardin County Playhouse to bring some things to the big stage. That we're looking forward to. So,
well, and these partnerships are so important. They're so important. It's hard to explain to the audience going public that yes, that ticket may cost more than you want to pay for it, but the ticket revenue doesn't even come close to covering the costs for the talent that our audiences want to see.
Oh yeah. For sure.
And it's only through those corporate business city partnerships that we're able to bring in those things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to not only you know, get that ball rolling with sponsorship, but it has to happen because we depend on it, and being a community theater and Hardin County Playhouse being the same way, sponsorship is key because we've got to keep the lights on, and sometimes talent need the ticket sales alone. So
like Travis Tritt, what's the top dollar for Travis Tritt?
Well, that's for ticket sales is gonna be about $60 for preferred seating, 40 or 50 and 40. So tiered and about $10 difference there.
But without the corporate city partnership, it would easily be twice that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Which puts it out of the price range for a lot of the audience that would really love that event.
Yeah, we're still Elizabethtown. We're still kind of, you know, small scale as far as the entertainment goes, and we've had some big names. It ain't Vegas. Yeah, it's not Vegas. But as the years continue the way that they are now, I think people will be so surprised on what we're able to do. And then once everybody comes together and buys their ticket and the sponsorship is included and yeah,
we build upon the successes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Tell us how we can find out more information, Zach.
Well, you can visit us at historicstatetheater.org. You can buy tickets off of our website, see all of our upcoming events, movies, concerts, and then if you just want to talk to us on the phone to kind of figure out what you want, how to buy tickets, 270-234-8258.
Excellent. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Folks, thank you once again for joining us for this month's monthly Marquee. Until next month, I'm your host, Bart Lovins, Director of Hardin County Schools Performing Arts Center. Make it a good one.